Hi guys, welcome to another video. This is on my hydroponics setup. Now, before I was just using cracky method, in other words, just a basin or mason jars with stagnant water, and the problem I was having was some of my plants, especially as they got bigger, would be sucking up so much water. I would have to refill the container 1 or 2 times a day, and that was becoming a real annoyance, and I wanted something more automated. So I set this thing up. The top 2 trays are 21 by I think 22 inches long, and there are 2 of them side by side there. And so for the top tray, they were done similarly, but not exactly the same. For the input hose, I just used aquarium airline tubing, which has a 3/16 inch internal diameter, and I used these little type of quick connect fittings. Just drill a little hole in there and stick the fitting on there, put a little O-ring on the inside and tighten it, and it's watertight, and you just push the hose into it and it locks it. And if you want to remove the hose, you just push the inside of this ring. It's similar to ice maker connections, ice maker water filter connections, and it works well. So this is at a higher level than the drain, and the drains are down here. I used uniseals, 3/4 inch uniseals into the plastic, drilled a hole for them. The hole you drill, I believe, is 1 1/4 inch diameter. You stick the uniseal in there, and then you put a section of pipe. I'm using 3/4 inch PVC pipe in there, and then inside there's a 90-degree elbow. And let's see if we can see that here. Yeah, I think you can see it's kind of dark in there. Let's get some more light. Yeah, there you go. So you can see what it looks like inside. And the water is hooked onto a timer pump, and it's set to come on 3 times a day, every 8 hours for a half hour. My sump or reservoir is a Home Depot 5-gallon bucket, and if you look inside the bucket, you'll see a Rio 1400 aqua pump. You know, we use Rio pumps like this. I've been using them for years on my aquariums, and they've got a huge range of sizes, depending on how many gallons per hour you want and how high a water head it can maintain. So I had to, even though I wanted a slow flow, I needed a pump that powerful to get it all the way up to the top shelf. And for that reason, I needed a much larger pump. For the bottom shelf, I got away with a tiny pump, which I'll show you in a minute. So anyway, when the water's coming in, it goes in through that little white thing on the left. That's the input of this thing. And I keep these things covered when there's no plant in them so that we don't get algae in the water. Just put a little cut off paper plate there. And at the moment I'm growing romaine and butter crunch lettuce. And I got this one little cherry tomato, Tiny Tim cherry tomato plant starting out. And so for draining it, the 3/4 inch pipe goes down a 90-degree bend and goes into a 1-inch pipe, which you can see I have a T-piece connector in the middle and two 90s on each end, and then that plugs into a drain pipe here. And this is threaded up here so that I can disconnect it from the bucket. If I need to move the bucket around, I can disconnect here. This thing is just free floating here so that I can just move this entire tray away from the drain. So if I want to clean out the whole tray in between new plants that I'm putting in, and I need to do a full change on the solution, I can just take the whole tray, move it over here by the sink and dump it. So this is 1-inch PVC pipe going down into the bucket. And then, so that's been working great. I mean, I just set it and I haven't had to touch it. And the lettuce is growing really, really well in there. Now, I just finished setting this thing up down here, which is similar. These trays are slightly wider than the ones up top, but not maybe an inch not as long. And I've used a similar arrangement where you can see the water coming in. I wanted just a slow flow. I just, it's going to come on a half hour 3 times a day, and I just wanted enough to make a little bit of circulation and keep the water level full so it wouldn't dry out. And then that just drains passively into, this is all 3/4 inch pipe here. I didn't use any 1-inch down here. This was a real challenge because the bottom shelf is only 6 inches off the, or 6.5 inches off the floor. And I needed enough of a drop off between where the water falls into the drain inside and have a drop off to drop into the drain pipe and another drop off to drop into the reservoir. But I managed to to make it work. And here is this little tiny Rio 160 pump. It only puts out at maximum a 2-foot head, so the water will only go up maybe this high total. Well, maybe that high, but it's only going up to this height, which is probably no more than a foot off the ground. So it's plenty powerful for what I want. I just want a very slow flow. Again, for the purposes I said, mixing the water in the systems and maintaining the water level. So you can see I've got 12 net cup holes in each top, and so and then I'm going to show you the lid for this. So for the reservoir, I've got a hole cut for the drain pipe and a little notch for the wire. So here's the setup completed, top shelf and the new bottom shelf. I placed my pepper plants, had 4 pepper plants. I already harvested a bunch of peppers from these plants, and there's growing a new crop towards the top of the plant now. And I've covered the holes that aren't being used, and I put a second lid on top of the holes on the second tray, which currently isn't being used. You can see the reservoir tank here, the sump. I did have to make one modification here. Instead of a hole, I made a slit that goes all the way to the edge because it was causing a mess. If I had to lift this pipe up to get the lid off, now I can just slide the lid back and remove it. So that's it. Everything's automatic now. Instead of having to come down once or twice a day to fill the mason jars, I can fill it up once, set it. I should be good for at least a week. Everything's on timers, and that should do it. Thanks for watching. So the trays have been up for a couple of weeks now, and this is the upper tray and the bottom trays, and I'll show you some little tweaks I made after using it for a short while. So one thing I noticed is that you can actually see the water level right through the Home Depot bucket reservoir. I drew a black line towards the bottom so that when it gets down to about that level, the pump's about to get partially dry and it's time to put some more solution in there. So that's one tweak. I also took some saran wrap plastic material to wrap around the opening where the pipe goes in to make it less likely mosquitoes will be able to enter that, because I don't want to be growing mosquito larvae in there. The bottom tray has larger pepper plants, which you can see the peppers growing on them. And then I have some young pepper plant seedlings on the other bottom tray. So when these plants stop producing, those plants should be grown up and start. I have a Tiny Tim cherry tomato plant here, and it's starting to have little tomatoes. You can see one there, one here, and this has been going since about a month and a half now. This is and that's all the size this thing is so far. It's supposed to get to be about a foot or so tall. We'll see. Here are some young basil plants, and you can see that the trays don't fill the entire shelf, so I have space on around the trays to put pots and capture some of the light from the Spider Farmer 1000 grow lights. Top tray, I've already harvested a huge amount of lettuce from this. Got a huge bag in the refrigerator, and I'm using the technique where you harvest the stems on the outside and then let the leaves on the outside and let the center leaves grow up so you can extend the harvest for a while. This is a larger basil plant over here in a pot, and behind that an oregano plant. Another tweak I made to the bottom tray was I cut a slit. Instead of having just a hole here, I cut the groove all the way there so I could just slide the entire top tray out. Otherwise it was a pain, and I had to lift the pipe to get the drain pipe out, and that was causing some spillage of hydroponic solution, which was a mess. So this way I can just slide the whole top tray out when I need to. See what other, instead of using paper plates torn into little quarters, I cut out some foam with a model airplane foam 4-inch discs to put over the 3-inch openings of the holes that aren't being used. So that keeps the mosquito larvae out, prevents evaporation, and it's simple. They're just taped down, and I just pull them out as I need it, put in the net pot, and then this way I can keep the unused holes covered. So the system's working well. It's sort of like a set it and forget it. So instead of having to come down here and fill the things a couple of times a day, the pumps just come on 3 times a day for a half hour, and they fill the plant trays from the reservoirs and circulate the fluid and keep it mixed. One last thing, I just wanted to show, you can see the water level. When I painted the bottom of this tray, I put a piece of tape over there in order to allow me to see the water level clearly. And that way, when the water level gets kind of low, I'll know it, and I don't have to take the lid off to tell. So, I hope you found this useful. I'm thinking about making another video just describing the mechanical process of plumbing out one of these trays, showing how to insert the fittings, the uniseals, and these fittings, etc., and the piping, just to show how that's done. So thanks for watching.